Hi, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on reinvention and personal branding. Um, I can see we still have participants coming in on board. We're at 4 p.m. So we use this time to be able to get some of the housekeeping out of the way and also to take you through the Learning and OD Roundtable. So very quickly for everyone, I think I have Komal asking, is audio not there? So the audio is very much on. And I'm hoping that you can all hear me. Suneet, give me a sound check. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, lovely. Okay, everybody. So keep your, you need to keep your mics on mute. So which means that there should be the button in red, which has a cross over it so that you know that there's no noise coming in. We're expecting over 200 people on this webinar. So we're trying to keep the noise out so that you can hear the speaker today clearly. You have a chat box on your right, on the right of your screen. Please use that effectively to be able to post not only questions, but your ideas, views, and comments. So we're very interested in knowing your views, comments as you listen to the speaker or otherwise. So please post that. The duration of this webinar is about 40 to 45 minutes. And we'll start by talking a bit about the LNOD roundtable and making a few announcements, and then we'll pass over to him. So continue posting your questions and comments during the course of his talk. And we will take up these questions at the end and try and coordinate some of these questions for you so that the speaker is able to answer them for you. So I think with that, welcome everyone to one more webinar in the series of LNOD Roundtable webinars. This one today has had a very overwhelming response in terms of individuals from across levels, across organizations, across industries, not only from HR and learning and OD, but other functions as well, who've been really curious to come in on board and know more about this, this topic and the speaker. And we're not surprised with that really. But we'll come to Rajesh in just a bit. For the benefit of those who don't know about the Learning and OD Roundtable, I want to introduce you to the Learning and OD Roundtable. I'm Dr. Sujaya Banerjee, and I'm the founder of the Learning and OD Roundtable. Let me move forward. I'll tell you a bit about this forum. It's a 10-year-old forum. We started this about 10 years ago to help HR, learning, OD talent professionals build a change management mindset, a transformational personal mindset, and a mindset for being able to drive change within organizations. Given the times that we are in right now, you know, how invaluable a capability is that. We exist around 5 geographies: Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. So for those of you who are not yet members, please reach out to Tessin or Prudel, who you may have registered with, and try and understand how it is that you can become part of this journey called the Learning and OD Roundtable. Just a little more about the forum. We've run several learning events over the last 10 years, but we also run various research studies. The current one is called the Best Diversity and Investment Practices of Asia. I recommend strongly that you reach out to figure how it is that you can participate in this research study. So we have research studies, we have master classes, we have discussions and debates. Uh, so recommend strongly that you reach out and figure how it is that you can participate and become part of this journey. Um, Move forward, and I'll tell you about the wonderful people who are the wind below our wings here at the Learning and OD Roundtable. These are the people who are on our governing council and behind everything that we do. You can see Akil Basrai there. He's a veteran HR professional, has been the national president of the National HRD Network for several times. You've got Adil Malia there. He was the president HR of SR before he started the firm. Rajesh Padmanabhan, who's the CHRO of Wellspun. Myself, I'm the CEO of Capstone People Consulting. Manu Vadva of Sony Networks, and Rajeshwar Upadhyay of the Academy of Applied Emotional Intelligence, Dr. Prince Augustine of the Mahindra Group, and Rajesh Kamath, who's the founder of Chanakya Consulting. So you have a very solid body of people who kind of give direction and inspiration to all that we do through the Learning and OT Roundtable. Move forward. Like I said, 5 geographies. So if you want, you can reach out to attend the master classes on the other side of this lockdown when we are ready to be able to get started. We'll continue communicating with you since you've logged into this webinar. We'll now know you and have your coordinates. We'll keep you informed on what's happening in your city. But there's lots that's available virtually. And I recommend strongly that you look out for LNOD Roundtable Virtual Academy, which has some really outstanding content that can be used in the virtual learning journey formats within your organizations. We also have a sister organization and forum that we've created called the Women Leadership Forum of Asia that also has very outstanding programs which are virtually available for both women leaders, other kinds of diversities, and also to drive inclusion by being able to influence your leaders appropriately. With that, move forward. So join the movement, figure more about the memberships. We have some really interesting membership options for both individuals and corporates. The corporates memberships are for 10 at a time. These are rotating memberships, so reach out. We have big discounts going on. If you come in on board the LNOD Roundtable, you get the Women Leadership Forum of Asia membership at a discount. The corporate memberships are for 10 people at a time. They can be used anywhere across the country. So reach out to know more, and I'm sure Tehseen and Prudel will be talking to you more about this. Move forward. The best diversity and inclusion practices of Asia. We've extended the last dates for your entries till the 30th of April. So please keep your entries coming in. It's delightful to see, how the tempo of entries have gone up dramatically during the lockdown. So hopefully you have more time to be able to focus on what's going on. And, you probably have the bandwidth to be able to write, hopefully your practices so that others can benefit from it. So I'm going to recommend that you use this time. And if you need help to write out your entries, the Learning and OD Roundtable team is happy to be able to help you with that. The best diversity and inclusion practice of Asia is followed by the best diversity and inclusion practice of Asia seminar and awards, which hopefully is on the other side of this lockdown. Our conversation today, everybody, is around personal branding and reinventing yourself during turbulent times. We couldn't not include this part because it's clearly, while all our topics so far have been around leadership and around ancient wisdom tradition and around being able to manage these turbulent times with added wisdom. We had Professor Hariharan talk to you about how you can use Pestle to be able to understand and interpret what's really going on around us. We didn't want to miss the person right at the center of all this, which is you. So any kind of adversity has opportunities galore and opportunities to be able to come out and shine through, actually use this as important times to be able to stand through and build the traces of reputation for yourself. So the current very unprecedented times that we're experiencing, I mean, most of the people who are trying to lead you through this have not experienced this themselves during their own lifetimes, during their own careers. So these are very, very unprecedented, very, very different times. Nobody will recall ever having experienced any calamity of disaster other than the floods, perhaps a couple of riots that we've experienced through our lifetime. But this is all so different. So how do you use this time? I mean, we're all working from home. How do you use this time to shine through internally within the organization? I mean, everyone likes an adversity hero. This is such a great opportunity to be able to shine through, to be able to put your hand up, to take on the tougher jobs, to be able to demonstrate the leadership that you want people to notice. So what a great time to be able to make an impact. Great time to be able to also build your external brand and know how to know and understand how to use social media impactfully, even as you spend time remote working and contributing to your organization. We don't want you to miss the main person in focus here, because even as the LNOD Roundtable creates programs to build capabilities for individuals, and we want that manifested in the context of your capability of driving change within organizations, it starts with personal transformation and manifests into organizational transformation. So we couldn't miss the main person who's the main vehicle for being able to drive this change. It starts with being able to drive change for yourself. And we thought personal branding and reinventing yourself during this time is such a perfect thing, because you have the time now to get off the treadmill a bit and to reanalyze, reflect, reassess how it is that your career is going, how it is that you want to manage this better, what you want to do differently, what do you want to stand for. And we couldn't get you anyone better than Rajesh Kumar uh, of UiPath. Rajesh is the vice president and head of marketing for UiPath, and responsible for establishing um, brand leadership and driving field marketing. His career as in marketing as a marketing leader mirrors the growth and evolution of technology sector in India and in Asia Pacific. For the last 3 decades, he's led marketing, sales, operations, and strategy for enterprises, SMB, consumer, and channel ecosystems. Uh, he was with SAP in Asia Pac, in the Japan region, and is also a very strong advocate of B2B marketing. Is a regular speaker at industry and marketing conferences. He has an MBA from IIM Calcutta, a degree in mechanical engineering from NIT Kurukshetra. He also has done executive programs from Wharton, Harvard Business School, and also the Indian School of Business. I'm really delighted to be able to share this important perspective. I'm hoping it's going to cause huge amount of reflection, and many of you going away with very key takeaways from this very wonderful presentation and conversation that Rajesh Kumar has planned for you here today. With that, over to you, Rajesh.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Sujaya. And I'm really delighted and actually humbled that we have close to 250 people on the call today. So that puts more pressure on me. I hope I'm able to bring you at least some good takeaways that you can use and that benefit you. So, and again, I have a few slides that have been put up. I'm going to talk through them, but feel free to put your questions in the chat window. I'm happy to change the direction of conversation and take as many of them, as I can. And I think the team LNOD will help me tackle the volume and help me digest them, as I'll probably be busy speaking a bit. So let me start by pulling up my deck. Sorry, the connectivity is, I think, a little bit poor because of the sheer amount of load, I suppose, we have on the systems, because everybody is suddenly working from home. So I hope everyone can hear me. I know everyone is on mute. So Sujay and team, you can validate if my audio is all right. Maybe in the chat window, if you...
Rajesh, I can hear you perfectly well.
Okay, all right.
There are a couple of people on the group who are mentioning that they cannot hear or they cannot see. Just want to reiterate that your audio visual is a function of your own connection. So please check that. We've actually muted everybody because Rajesh has begun speaking. So the only functionality that the administrator has on this end is to be able to mute everyone only during the duration of the conversation. As soon as he's done, we'll unmute everybody. So you're welcome to be able to come through.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, we've got, our preference is to use the chat box. So we really don't want voices into the program. So just clarifying that. For all those who can't hear or you can't see the screen, I mean, our presentation is very much on the screen. All of us who are sitting in different locations can see it. We've done a 45-minute audio test before you came in on board. So please check your own connections. So I'm going to leave that as the final conversations. Use your chat box, please, and continue posting your questions and comments. Good luck, everyone. Enjoy this.
So thank you. So I think Sujay sort of gave me a very formal introduction. But let me also share a bit about myself. You know, so I started my, I've actually, spent early part of my years in mostly small towns. In Himachal, my father taught in the university there, so I've traveled to many small towns and very interesting times. And then I ended up, going for engineering to NIT Kurukshetra. Wanted to be mechanical engineer, whatever of that I understood at that point of time. Largely passionate about automobiles and cars and so on and so forth. I finished that, then I joined a industrial automation company, which make these, forklift trucks, as you can see here. And then I did work for some time, and then I wasn't sort of getting where I wanted to get. I wanted do something different, increase my level at which I was working. Then some good friends suggested, and then I sort of put myself through 2 years of business school in IIM Calcutta. I finished there, and then I you know joined from campus, what seemed like an interesting thing to do after you stay in hostels all your life, and you're starting your restarting your working life, which was I joined the alcohol company. Seagram was just entering India. I joined them, worked with them for a few years. Then I went further into consumer goods. I joined a confectionery company, Italian company called Perfetti. I worked with them for a few years. Then .com 1.0 hit, and like everyone, I thought I would make a killing. I joined the startup that HCL had put together. I had great fun, but of course I didn't make any money. When it started to close, then I started looking for a job. I was getting another startup and an established company. And against my sort of heart's desire, people around me counseled to join a more stable company. They said you can't do two such gigs in a row. So I joined Microsoft, which was great fun. It was my first move to tech and B2B. I was there for many years, did a variety of things. From there, I joined another tech company, SAP, because they offered me a larger role. They offered me to run, as a chief marketing officer for the country. I did that for a few years. Then I moved with them to Asia Pacific and Japan region. I did digital marketing with them, and I did a few parts of the marketing out of Singapore. Then I actually left them. I sort of took a sabbatical for about 6 months, trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And that's the time I became a part of Lead Think, which is a startup in the area of coaching and personal branding. So I became one of the co-founders. And then I hit upon this new company, which was in a completely new area of software robotics. Nobody had heard about this area, but it was moving fast. And I wanted to do something new, hopefully to reinvent myself. So then I joined, UiPath. That brought me back to India because they had the opening in India region, and I took that on. So that's sort of my journey so far. I've been there for about 1.5 years in the new job, and greatly enjoying it. I think this slides are a little bit now. So the title of the presentation really says reinventing and personal branding. So I've tried to break it into two parts. I have made one part as reinventing, and then I have focused on personal branding just to keep two themes separate. And what I'm hoping to do today really is to get you to think about these two themes. Of course, no session can, cover everything, but hopefully if I'm able to, get the thought active in your head, and through mostly personal experiences and what I've seen, and provide you some starting points, that will be a success for me. And I'll be happy to continue and be available to you on, LinkedIn or, WhatsApp or Twitter to answer your questions, queries, or help you through as you go down your journey. And hopefully some of you will pick something and try to, implement it. So, what is the environment around us today? And I hit upon Winston Churchill's this quote. I changed the wordings a little bit, but essentially, while everyone is lost in the negative and imagining the worst of the situation, I think this is also opportunity for us to do something. And if you look historically, most times when there is a crisis, when there is a tough situation, something comes out of it. And the people who are able to benefit from it are the ones who, took the time at that point of time to pre-think, based on some knowledge, some understanding, but then their own reflection, analysis, and somewhat of gut, try out the new things. And, many times some of that works. And in hindsight, all looks like, strategy. So when people go and talk about it, they always say, oh, I had the foresight to see, and then I decided and I strategically did X, Y, Z. But generally, in my experience, everyone takes a gamble. When it works out, then it looks strategic. So what I'd like to suggest is that this is a good time, and most of us are working from home. Although the fallacy of you have more time when you work from home, I haven't found to be true so far. I'm working more intense days. I start at 9 o'clock and I usually don't end up finishing before 7:38. And there's a series of intense conference calls back to back. Barely any time for a cup of tea or, a squeezed meal in between. But I can't complain. I think I'm getting a lot done. I'm enjoying the time. And, there is a lot of interesting stuff that is happening. So, and there is one interesting analogy I like to refer. And this is, so you can see me, this is one of the books I've been, reading for some time, which is called Ikigai. So this is really time to think, actually, not only work, but a broader to say, just step back, because always we are so busy in the day-to-day business of life, there is no time to think. So maybe now there is time to think, maybe take a few hours off, maybe take a day off, and just sit back and reflect, where are you today? What do you want from your life? Where are, what will get you there? This is an interesting framework that this book, Ikigai, shares, which really was a study on people in Japan, in a province who lived really long, over 100 years, majority of them. And, what takes them there is really what they call, combination of 4 circles, what they love doing, what they are good at. Combination of them, becomes their passion. And what they're good at and what you can be paid for becomes your profession. And, what the world needs and you can be paid for can become your vocation. What you love and the world needs, may not be, you are great at, may not make money, but that probably becomes your mission. And then the center of it, what they define as Ikigai. And, once people find that, that gives a purpose and meaning to their lives. Now, this may sound like a, fairly high speaking, but I think it's an interesting book. It might be worth reading or even at least reflecting on some of these. My experience has been you never get there in one go, but the moment you see the thought in your head, somewhere it stays. And whenever there's a window, it keeps popping up and keep making you think. And gradually some of the answers start coming. I think it's all about staying in that state of question for a longer time and asking the right questions. So what's coming? I think if you look at the current crisis and whatever you read, right, while there is crisis, there are more things going to happen. I mean, some of the things I'm just looking at a work perspective are becoming, quite prominent, quite, easily understandable. And I've been consuming a lot of, webinars. There were 2 TEDx webinars, this weekend. There was one before. And there's also been a lot of talks and things like that. I think it's a good time to right now consume them online. So, many industries which require travel, which require people contact, hospitality, travel, events, retail, are going to be definitely hit. So if you're in that industry, you probably want to worry, irrespective of what role you are in, where this is going to go. Then job cuts are becoming a, very prevalent phenomenon. Of course, startups are cutting salaries, because they have to stay afloat. Eventually, business has to be able to pay for itself. People are shaving off workforce. Some are less now, but if it lasts 3 to 6 months, it'll probably be a, lot more. Companies have, of course, frozen their hiring. They've frozen investments. Many companies are renegotiating their real estate deals. So real estate sector is going to hit. The co-working spaces are going to get hit. If you look at the other side, the rise of technology is definitely happening. People are, companies like Zoom that we are using right now, they've added 200 million subscribers over the last 3 weeks. So those companies are going to do well. I think there is increase in the remote working. I mean, there has been a momentum going on, but now if people are going to work remotely for 3 to 6 months, then, they will actually get to experience it, get to understand it, get to like it. And many of them may not go back. And companies may also get comfortable with that, which means lower cost of premises, lower cost of many other physical things, and lower cost of commuting and so many other things, right? The other thing at a personal level, I think a lot of concerns coming on mental health, because people are working alone for long times. There are a lot of people who are single or alone. They are staying alone for various reasons. For them it's a really hard time because you are not in touch with another human being. So mental health, psychology, those are the fields that are coming in play. All companies are offering that help. That also has professional implications depending on what business you are in, or what company you are in, or what role you are in. Now, in this environment, when the world is taking stock, where to go and what to do and what the world might look like. I mean, there was a talk where India, as I know, India as a country is seriously looking at if we can, in the post-COVID world, get a larger share of manufacturing and global outsourcing to be a part of the supply chain globally. What will the services market mean, and so on and so forth. I think world is thinking what is going to look like. Countries are thinking what is going to look like. Companies are thinking what parts to grow, what parts to shut down. I think it completely behooves that as individuals, as professionals, we also take time to reconsider, what our options are going to look like once this gets over. What is going to mean for my company, what is going to mean for my business, what is going to mean for my function, what is going to mean for my role, and that has implication for what we want to do. And now is the time to think through and take in your consideration what it might look like, and therefore what actions it might be. So I again put a subset of that, which I said, what is your passion, strength, what makes money. This is really where your ideal job is. It's a good time to think, simple things, what I said, like, if the working is going to get more remote, and depending on which generation of workforce each of us came from, are we really taking time to invest, to learn some of these technologies? Are we getting comfortable with remote working? Are we getting comfortable with digital technologies? And so on and so forth. Are we learning some new skills? Are we, trying to understand and see, where our profession might go? I think this is the time to think some of these things. And this is what will lead to what is the idea of reinvention, right? There's a time for us to think. And I think for a long time, and more so in India than anywhere else, our primary identity has been our job title. I'm known by, head of marketing, but tomorrow if I don't have the job, is somebody still going to need me? Is somebody still going to value me? What do I bring to the table? What do I bring to the world? What do I bring to my profession? I think these are questions to consider, and this is the time to do, right? When do you really reinvent yourself? You look at reinventing, when you have a situation like this where you think your job may not exist, or you think once the situation changes, you have opportunity to do something larger and bigger, or you think, you are not getting next what you want to get, or you're looking for a change of career, you're looking for change of a company, or you may be, left looking for a job after this, or you want to get off job depending on if you're at a late stage of a career, start something of your own, either full-time or a side hustle, or you want to contribute your talents to some larger cause, which may or may not be commercial. I think for all of those things, you want to take stock of where you stand today. What have you learned so far? Which part of that is usable in your future that you imagine? What you don't have and what you need to learn, right? I think some honest assessment towards reinvention is completely, in order at this point of time. So best thing to do at this point of time, I guess, is to first look at where you are today. And a number of things are available. Our companies enable 360-degree surveys. You can do a focus group, or in this scenario, a video conference, or even one-to-one calls with your friends and family and peers to find out, how do they see you? Where do they see your strengths? Where do you see your gifts? You may have a construct in your mind, but you need an external output. Look at the patterns of your career so far. What are the things that have worked for you well so far? What are the things that haven't worked? What are the things that have gotten rewarded? what are the things that you really enjoyed and worked well? What are the things that you love doing, but they don't seem to work well? How do you work with other people? What are the new areas emerging in your, domain? And so on and so forth. I think it's good to take stock of starting point. As they say, your ambition is like a rubber band. Once you know where you want to go, and you are brutally honest about where you are, and you connect the two, it has the power to take you there gradually. And then next, of course, is to decide, where you want to go, because today, fortunately, the environment, at one way, it's quite, churn oriented and tough, and survival can be hard. But at the other side, there are so many more new opportunities that have opened up. And in some sense, the lens of what you've done before has gone, because what I did 20 years ago may or may not be relevant. Experience is valuable only if used very carefully. Right? If it becomes our primary lens, then it can actually be damaging. So like I said, is it growth in the same job? Is it retaining the job? Is it growing up the vertical ladder? Is it about exploring a new opportunity in the same organization? Is it a different organization? Is it something of your own? Is it a side hustle? Is it some teaching on the side? Whatever it may be, a lot of things are possible. I think, but you have to sort of choose your direction, maybe up to 3 directions in your order of priority, because whatever you choose, we may not necessarily get there. So you have to have a plan B and a plan C. Right? Now, if you combine where you want to go, and if you want to look at, what you bring to the table, you have to do, like we look at the 3 circles diagram, you have to look at, what's your unique value proposition? What is going to make you better than anybody else for that position? Do you bring some unique experience? If you're looking for a sort of an international expansion role, maybe you've done work in multiple countries that sets you apart. May not be in the same function every time, right? If you are, if marketing is your direction, are you inherently creative? You bring a different perspective, or way of articulation, or way of visualization to the table. Do you have a better understanding of your unique audience? Right? Or you have a penchant for mathematical and calculative field, which gives you a precision-oriented mindset, which is suited for certain type of roles. Or you have a passion for helping the world, or you enjoy teaching. You pick those different things. You look at the landscape of opportunities. You put a lens of current crisis and what it might open up. Educate yourself. This thought is developing every day. A lot of content is getting circulated. While it's easy for all of us to do binge watching, maybe it's time to take some time off from that and consider and reflect on some of these issues. So that sets us up well. And when things change, then we are not caught by surprise. Right? I think. And then obviously, I think I like this quote, one of my favorite authors, Richard Bach, which is, you're never given a wish without also being given the power to make it true. You may have to work for it, however. Right? I think like I said, once we honestly decide where we see ourselves today in context of where we want to go, and then set the steps to get there, I think, there is a fairly good chance of us getting there. Right? So idea is to build a plan. So if some additional skills are required, we do so. If additional experiences are required, we figure out ways to get so. If we need to expand our network, let's do so. If we need to research some potential companies, we could do so. So these are the things, which are for us to consider. And like you have a plan for the business, it's time to have a plan for your own, life and career as well. You put some steps, you put some learning areas, you put some experiences, you put some, people you want to connect with, and you put some milestones, and then you diligently follow them through. So usually once your direction and vision is clear, your what you want to do is clear, and your plan is clear, then it's a question of putting an execution discipline to this. And this another thing I wanted to bring up, which is I found quite useful. Companies have boards of advisors. In our own career, we meet many great people. Sometimes they are ex-bosses, sometimes they are mentors in our. I don't know if everybody has taken. It's a separate topic, but I think it's very important to have a mentor in your professional career, irrespective of the stage you are in. I'm about 30 years into my working life. I have a number of mentors, that I acquired along the way, and they stay with me. And on various topics, and this can be work oriented, this can be outside of work, this can be other larger purposes. But you do assemble like a company does their board of advisors, what is a popular term called personal board of advisors. People who can be your bouncing board, people who can be your advisors, people who can give you counsel, people who can be help you see the truth when you are not able to see, and most importantly, give you a very honest, hard and good feedback both. Right. So one distinction here, typically we put people in three sort of buckets. I look at mentors as people who know an area that you want to learn better than you or I, and therefore they are happy to share their knowledge. And then when we touch them, for example, I may want to learn some area in marketing, say digital marketing. They may be able to help me. And many times these people can be even younger than you. Because if I have to learn digital marketing, I'm not going to go to somebody who's more, work years, but somebody who's probably less work years, but knows more of that skill. Right? Then there are, coaches. Coaches are people who probably don't understand your domain, but they have a much larger life experience. Therefore, they are able to be your unique bouncing board. When you're struggling with a thought, when you're struggling with an idea, you have a conflicting set of thoughts. They can sit back and help you see the truth. What does your heart want? Where do your strengths lie? What might make sense? And so on and so forth. I think those are quite useful. And all these are trusted relationships. Therefore, you have to invest time to build them. And then third and the last category really is sponsors. Sponsors are people who believe in you, who champion your skills, who champion your expertise, who potentially seen you at work, and all for the right reasons. And they will sponsor your name, when the right opportunity comes, either within the company or outside the company. Usually these relationships, like I said, are built with trust and they last for a long time. When the right opportunity comes, these people are going to champion you. And most times opportunities come when we are not there. Right? They don't come by asking. That's where your reputation and what you stand for really counts. Right? And the last part on this, I think once you have, made your plan, you set some goals on what reinvention might mean for you. Maybe you don't need, maybe you're in a business which is in a super growth mode, you are on the top of it and you're all right. So then all of this is for another day. But if this means something in your context, in your current job, future job, finding a new job scenario, then once you've done your plan, you've written your goals, test drive. Like they say, your second career is best tested when your first career is full-time on. So if you want to do entrepreneurship, maybe try something on the side. If you want to go into a different career, maybe go spend an hours with somebody who's doing, or meet a few people in that area to find out what does it take to work. Maybe take some, time to go explore different things. So I think, test and validate your hypothesis, because if you're going to put your career at stake, if you're going to put, significant bet on this, then it makes sense to test that hypothesis with others. Right? There are two, books. One I have it somewhere. I think the Reinventing You, which is a phenomenal book by Dorie Clark, which drills into many of these issues and actually gives you a step-by-step guide to thinking through many of the topics that we spoke. And Ikigai is not so much about career, but I think it's a interesting read to, help you put on a path to thinking, for future. So I'll take a, step back here and now jump into personal branding. I would have taken some questions here, but in interest of time, I'll probably continue and take questions at the end. So second related topic is really personal branding. Now, the first thing about that I want to say is that many times I find some kind of a, negative bias, everyone has, as if it is something unreal, is something fake, is something inauthentic, right? I think we should banish that thought from our mind. Personal, you cannot, like they say, you cannot fool anyone, right? You can fool some of them all the time. You can fool all of them some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And in an environment when you are going to be engaging with people on day-to-day basis, everybody understands who the person on the other side is. And when you have a conversation with a person, in two conversations, you know where the person stands, irrespective of whatever they may be saying. So, you have to be more of your own brand. You have to discover it, be more of your own brand, polish it, articulate it, but it's not trying to be something you are not. Right? We all believe that in a fair and ideal world, all we need to do is put our head down and work hard, and and things will follow. I mean, if you had unlimited time, unlimited energy, probably at some point of time. But reality is the world is competitive. A lot of people are wanting the same thing that you do, right? And this is also a challenge, I think, because overall Indian and Asian philosophy is, philosophy of, you know, of giving up for others, right? And this is not at conflict. But the point is that if you don't tell the world who you are, others are not going to discover you, and therefore they are not going to get paid, right? In very sort of almost harsh words, an American colleague once told me, said, if you are not going to blow your horn, who else will, right? So I think we have to think of representing ourselves well. And again, this is not limited only to social media and so on and so forth, but I think we have to do justice to present ourselves and our real worth and real value, to the world. So the right opportunities come to us and people see us for who we are. And again, going back to the thing, it's not something we are starting from scratch, right? On each of us already has a brand, right? People know also certain things, it comes from, our academic background. Maybe you're an engineer. People think of you in a certain way. Maybe you are a business school graduate, or you are an HR professional, or you are a finance professional. Right? You have a certain number of jobs that you have done. There's types of companies you've worked for, types of roles you've done, how fast you've grown, what kind of assignments you've done, what experience people have of you working in group situations. Were you really collaborative? Did you put yourself above others? Did you take other people's credit? All of these things come together over a period of time, right? We all learn, nobody's perfect, but, we have to see what do we stand for. And like I said, things like a 360-degree survey, asking your trusted friends and family, listening carefully to the corridor chat and in meetings and what people are saying about you, what people are telling you. Like they say, the personal brand is how people react to you when you walk into a room, right? Where nobody knows, a broad set of people, right? So you already have a brand. You got to discover and say, what do you stand for today versus what do you think of yourself, right? Because people are going to come to you from where they see you, not what we think of ourselves. Now, what we think of ourselves may be true, may be genuine, but, in a real world, the perception can be reality. So it's important for us to be cognizant of it, important for us to understand and then understand the gaps. Maybe there are some things that we need to be realistic about, but there are things that we believe are right, but they're not communicated. And we have to see, what of our behaviors or what of our representation of ourselves is communicating otherwise. And we have to take steps to do it in the right manner. So really at this point of time, I think before you start for the brand, and I finished the last session saying, craft your personal narrative. Right? So you have to decide what your story is. What do you stand for in terms of a set of skills? What do you stand for in terms of industry experience? What do you stand for in terms of interpersonal, approach? What do you stand for in terms of people leadership? What do you stand in terms of softer skills, mindset, your view of the world, your view of the future? I think, all of those things you need to, take stock of and say, where you are and where you want to go. Right? And in light of that, start beginning to think of yourself and say, how am I going to get there? And again, you will have to work for it, because there is no quick fix answer here. There is no, sort of formula or break fix here. All successes in life are usually hard work. with an unpredictable timeline of outcome. Most times you get the outcome, but there are no guarantees. And as I said this before, your career moves by what people you work with say about you when you're not in the room, right? And that's a good test. And you would have seen it, people who are in senior positions, when the discussions about people's promotions, putting people onto important assignments, which make significant shifts of people's careers happen, are not when people are in the room, and what other people believe about them decides. So there is factual information, but factual information, there will always be many people neck on neck, right? But somebody's trust and people's view usually shapes who people bet on, because in some sense, for important positions, important roles, your ability and skills and capability are table stakes. People want to be able to trust somebody, who they believe can actually deliver the goods and can deal with the environment that is positioned. Right? So where to begin? Like I said, I think it's a good place. It may sound very, very basic, but I, in my career, many times have got that kind of advice from people, and it's usually stood me in good stead, from simple things like, getting a good resume, having a good professional picture, dressing up for success. There was an interesting book called, What They Don't Teach You at Harvard. And Robert McNamara wrote it, and he set up one of the most successful sports rights companies called IMG Sports. And he said, we all the time meet sports people who are always in shorts and slacks. Right? But when we go, we cannot take liberty to dress like them and be tally, because they hired us for a job. And they want to see us dress for the job. So, so we have to be professional. So if you're a banker, you need to look like a banker. If you're a creative person, maybe you have a bit more liberty, but if you're an executive, give or take a bit, you don't need to be stiff, but you need to look the part. Your basic grooming, presentation, diction, representation, your presence in the boardroom, your presence in front of executives, your ability to communicate your ideas, your basic elevator pitch, what you do. All of those things sound basic, but it's good, always useful to sort of list them down and work on them. You'll find it is amazing how many people, take it for granted. And people who don't, how much difference does it make, to their persona and how the world sees them at large. Now, I think an important part of personal branding, and the reason we are talking today also, is about how do you leverage social media. If you hark back, 10 or 20 years, when social media had not really come into being, in a company, we always knew company as a name, and we knew select few leaders, maybe the CEO, maybe a couple of function heads, head of corporate relations, and so on and so forth. With a classical PR function, they were the face of everything. Right? And there was very little way for other people to get out and communicate the value they brought to the world. Again, in some situations, there are still companies who will not let others or their employees, do this. So you have to see how much is, you're allowed to do and how much is fair. You obviously don't want to get into trouble with your boss or with your company over that. But I think for a large number of people, in some shape and form, the social media today offers an opportunity to share with the world who you are, to share with the world what you believe, to share with the world your skills and talents and what you can do to help them, and what you feel about different issues, and therefore use that to connect with a lot of like-minded people, exchange thoughts, and be helpful, and in return, be visible and get help, and also, drive your career and next direction to your future. Now, for example, on this, webinar, we did nothing. We've not spent any money. We just put out a post, and we have, close to 300 people registered. Right? That's the power of this medium. If it can be for a thing like this, it can be for you as well. Right? And think of social media beyond Facebook likes. In a professional context, I would largely think, the channels that you think about is LinkedIn and Twitter. Right? Those are the primary channels. LinkedIn today has become the new Rolodex, and a phenomenal way for you to think about, representing yourself, because you talk to headhunting firms, barring a few top jobs where people are headhunted, or companies which are new to market. Majority of companies, and increasingly new age and very successful companies, are hiring completely online, which is your LinkedIn profile. People will get in touch with you based on that, for collaboration, for jobs, or so many other things. So therefore, it's definitely an important medium. And let me see, if internet is all right. I'm going to pull it up and give you some tips on LinkedIn. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Let's see if I can. Yeah, I think it's just a bit slow. Yeah. So if you look at LinkedIn, some quick tips I want to, share. And it allows you a lot of, leeway to do so. I think, first and foremost, again, basics. Do you have a clean picture, which is not super casual, which shows you, in a good light, which shows you clearly, and people can identify with you. Do you have a clear headline? If you look at here, which captures, we spoke about crafting your value proposition, crafting your narrative, so things that you stand for or would like to stand for, validated by what you bring to the table, you want to bring here, right? You want to bring, I'll show you, because I'll show you one or two of the hacks, because it was, I think we will not have a time left later. So if you look here, I don't know if you are able to see this, you have ability to edit your URL. Usually it will give you so and so 404389. Unlikely people will find it. And when you use it in your signature, you use it in your visiting cards and so on and so forth, you want a very clean looking. So you have ability to edit it, assuming nobody else has taken the same. But within the combination of using a second name first, first name second, or adding a small suffix, you can still make it easy and memorable. I think they are some of the things that you want to look at. You want to use the background to your profile well. Now, I have used it from one of the speaking opportunities, but you can use it, if you're an author, you can use your book in the background. If you are, whatever is relevant to your profession, if you're a scientist, maybe your discovery paper you can put in the background, and so on and so forth, Then you come down, there is this section about you. This is not your media bio. I think this is a good place for you to write in first person a summary of 2 or 3 paras, about who you are. And the nature of social media is that it's very personal. It's professional, but it's personal. So it's, no point writing in third person. Write a bit about, who you are, what do you stand for, what type of person you are. I mean, by no means this is perfect, but this is just my take at it. You can pick yours, and there are many people, who are very successful and have done a great job. If you search around, you can find examples. I've written a bit my education. I've written a bit about, what causes I'm passionate about. So at the end of reading it, it should give you a reasonable idea of, what am I as a professional? What do I bring to the table in terms of skills and academic credentials? And what am I as a person? What do I believe in? Right? Then it allows you to link various things. I've linked some of the talks or, some of the publications that I have done and things like that. So when people look at it, they can get to know more about you. Now, these people, maybe people are wanting to work with you, collaborate with you, want to hire you for consulting, maybe want to get you for a job. You can pretty much imagine that anybody today who comes to meet you on work, definitely has looked up your LinkedIn profile and has done some research, that is if they really mean their business. So it makes sense that you, do a good job of it. Similarly, putting your different positions clearly, any works that you have done relating to that, both your voluntary as well as, professional jobs, have a complete detail without going super long. Put down all your educations. put down your various licensing and certifications that you have done, your volunteer experiences, the boards, etc. you may be on, your skills and endorsements. So people will go rate you, but you can add, you can pick your skills, right? So if I'm wanting a job in business strategy, those are these skills that I want people to, validate me for, right? And those are the skills I want to prompt. So you can choose, these skills up to 30 skills, and those people will rate you. And if you're rated high on something, by the people who matter, we say people who are highly skilled at it, that goes towards yours. Ask for recommendations. Again, similar mindset. Don't be shy. People you have worked with, people could be your, in the company, your current bosses, ex-bosses, your clients, your partners, your vendors, your agencies. Look at different hats. Say something that will give a 360-degree view of you, will validate the skills that you think you possess. Right? People do read this. Right? This is the new way of reference check today. Right? Then different organizations that you present and so on and so forth. So these are some of the quick things to do on your LinkedIn profile. And then the second thing I would say is start connecting to people, right? Now, what do I mean by when I say start connecting to people? Look at your network of peers in the industry. Look at network of people you have worked in the past with. Look at network of your business school batchmates. Look at the network of your school and different other spheres, right? It's like I said, it's become the new Rolodex, but one contact leads to another, and you will see you can reach many people once your network starts to grow, because most people are in the second or third degree of reach, right? So expand your network in the domain, like we said, in your personal brand you want to go. So if you want to go into consulting, expand your network in that area. If you want to go into teaching, expand your network in that area. If you want to go to a new company, gradually build contacts with people who have influential opinion, and so on and so forth. Right? Your network is important. Then build it bit by bit, and do simple hacks. You go for a meeting, come back and quickly, use the opportunity to reconnect with people before you forget. Right? I will show you a very simple hack here. So if you see here, I don't know if it is visible on your phone. By the way, of course, always on phone have, your LinkedIn and Twitter. So when you open the screen on the right-hand side, there is a small icon. If you press it, it gives you a QR code. So when you meet people at the meetings, or you meet people at conferences, rather than exchanging cards, we just let them scan it. The moment they scan it, it will take them straight to your LinkedIn page, and you can connect. It just simplifies. Or if you go to scan, here is a scan. You can scan their, barcode, and it will take you to their page, and you can connect. So I think it's never useful to put it out for late. There's a certain discipline you have to put. When you send requests to people, write a couple of lines, give a context. And it's easiest when you've recently met to say, great meeting you at so-and-so conference, love to keep in touch on these topics, and people will accept you, right? So expand your network, build it. And now the third point is, how do you nurture your network, right? Now in social media, in some sense, everybody is busy talking, and nobody is listening enough. So people you want to connect with, and people who probably won't connect with you otherwise because they're at a higher position of power or influence and you have no direct access, start observing what they write. Start following them, start reading, start commenting and interacting with their content. And if you do, not for the heck of doing it, but with a right intent, you will get to know what strikes their fancy, you will get to know what their hot buttons are, you'll get to know what they're passionate about. And they start seeing you engaging with their comments and posts and blogs and articles, right? They'll start noticing you. And once you've had a few interactions, they will respond, right? And that's a good time for you to go and connect with them, right? For example, if you are targeting top 10 companies in, say, for example, banking industry or top 10 banks, right? I mean, it's easy enough to figure out who the HR heads of the top 10 banks are. Start engaging, start understanding what they do, and gradually start connecting, and more people in their industry, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's a way to start building your network beyond who you immediately know. Then the fourth and the last part is, start thinking of what you stand for. And if you are going to build a career in, say, future technologies, right? Then you want to read and have a point of view, which you probably have. You want to start getting that out by your way of your posts, by way of writing regular blogs and articles. People start understanding what you stand for, what you bring to the table, and they gradually start engaging with you. And since you have been engaging with a lot of people by now, it's a human nature. They will reciprocate and they will engage with your content. They'll help you amplify it. And that's how this sort of, virtuous cycle builds on each other. So you build a strong, good presence. When people go to your, LinkedIn page, they get a fair impression of who you are, right, professional, and a bit, personal with warmth, right? You have built the right set of connects, leveraging your existing network and gradually expanding your network. You are beginning to engage with people around topics they care about, and you are beginning to engage with people with topics that you care about. And that's how you gradually, start building your presence. And one stop to another, then things start happening and things start coming your way. People start approaching you because they see your influence, and people start approaching you because they see what you stand for, right? So that's as far as I'll stop for LinkedIn. I'll take any questions later. I'm actually at 5 o'clock, so I want to check with the Lenovo team. Can I spend a bit of time on Twitter, or I should stop here and go into Q&A?
How much longer do you need, Rajesh?
I think I can maybe just complete Twitter in about 8 to 10 minutes, and then I'll stop.
All right. Can we just try and do it in 5? Try your best to do it.
Okay, I'll do in 5. I'll just do a very quick one.
So that I don't want anyone missing what you've planned. So in 5 minutes, we'll take 2 or 3 questions and close.
Yeah. I'll just do a very quick one. So,
thank you.
People for the Twitter also, I think LinkedIn is obviously, the first stop to go to. But LinkedIn is more like a, I would say very business type of medium, whereas Twitter is a medium for engaging with a broader ecosystem of influencers, media, opinion makers, and engaging with the latest news. So people have different views, but my view is that you should start by building a profile on Twitter. And again, Twitter profile is very simple. You have to put only a few lines. Again, you have opportunity to put a backdrop and a picture. And you start by following important handles to keep yourself in touch. My suggestion is that for first 3 months, just follow the right people or the influential people in your profession, in your industry, in your domain, maybe in your area of passion, and just read on everyday basis what they write. Right? And then gradually start retweeting and commenting on those. And then over a period of time, get to your being to start writing your own content. So it's like a microblogging site, it's like a news site, and then you can gradually, start getting, onto this. The Twitter profile is quite straightforward. While posting, you can actually connect your LinkedIn and Twitter. So when you post on LinkedIn, you'll also post on Twitter as long as the characters are within the limit 280 characters that, Twitter allows you. And you can start, working on that. So I'll probably not go into Twitter beyond that, but I definitely recommend that Twitter be considered as an important medium to expand your presence. Take your time. There is no really rush, and people will, when people engage you with you professionally, hire you for a job, people will typically look at, what you're following and what your presence on different media is, because everything is becoming technology, and not being present in some sense is just not an option. Right? This I covered. I said, mind your content, be clear about, like they say, it's like a pyramid principle. decide your core value proposition, your narrative, stick to the content around it, and then the supporting pillars. And you can be on a lot of things, but then everyone has limited time and energy. Focus on your top topics, talk about them, engage about them, so people see in that context. When people see you again and again and again in the same area, that reinforces your position and your personal brand and what you stand for. I covered some of the truth and hacks. Only one I want to give here, that this medium is not, doesn't look for perfection. So therefore, making some mistakes are okay. If something goes wrong, it's okay to say sorry, and I apologize, or I missed it. Nobody is going to shoot you unless you do something which is really unpardonable, which I'm assuming in professional media you won't do. In a professional scenario, avoid engaging with any kind of overly controversial, political, religious type of content. Stick to professional content. Avoid sharing undue, personal content. Some amount of persona is okay, but any kind of super casual content is generally not okay. For me, I have quite a distinction between people I, meet on LinkedIn, people I meet on Twitter. There's some commonality LinkedIn and Twitter, but people I meet on Facebook are really family and friends. There are very few commonalities with LinkedIn and Twitter. And similarly, I use, of course, I'm a marketer, so I use all channels. I use Instagram. That is very different. And again, I use different personas. Instagram I do for my passion about, food. On Facebook is very friends and family, travel. LinkedIn is very, what my profession, and Twitter is a little bit more for my broader views on, current policy scenarios and so on and so forth. And the last one is, just be conscious. Everything is real time. So don't tell your boss, you have a headache, you're going home, and then post pictures of you, having a beer with a friend in the, in the pub at the same time. The world is real time. So just be conscious of, what you're posting where. In general, avoid going too loose, even on personal media like Facebook and, Instagram, where world is going, people are doing a social media audit before they hire you. So any kind of super casual, drunken parties or, not in decent clothing are generally not done. Keep them in your repository on your phone. Don't post them on social media of any type. But these are two books I recommend. One is a very old one, Shama Kabani, but gives a very good understanding of different social channels. And the second one is written by a friend who's based in Singapore. Gives you very good tips and tricks about, putting a social presence on LinkedIn. Well, all said and done, I think nothing's going to be a stroll in the park. You will have to work for it. But believe you me, if you are at it, it will bring you the results you desire. It will take time, but bring the results. And still, it's not done yet. So if you board the bandwagon, you have a really good chance of, getting there. Don't delay it further is my suggestion. Both thinking through your personal brand and then using social media to express it. Yes, I stop here.
Right.
Any more? Here the
Grace,
context of mine
so
and of Meenal.
Yeah, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much. You have very effusive comments on the chat box, but I'll just try and cut through this to be able to ask you just two questions. One of them comes from Ramaswamy Iyer, and he's saying this is a fabulous session. How much of a horn should one blow? There seems to be a thin line between how much to reveal and how much to hide. What would be your advice?
That's a really good question, right? My suggestion will be one, probably there is no single answer. Right? I think you have to do what you are comfortable with. So you have to recognize the fact, firstly, that I think as much of a crime is telling more than who we are, as much of the crime is if you do some great work and don't tell anyone and expect world will find out. That's not going to happen. So I would say use the benchmark that you use in personal relationships or in an office where some people will be doing all the hard work, but nobody ever sees them. I think they are doing themselves injustice. And then there are people who will only seem to get away by just projecting themselves. Right? I think that's also not a good place to be in. because then you're doing yourself injustice. So I would say stick your neck out, experiment with it, start with a little and see what you are comfortable with and what kind of reaction you get from people. If you see in people's comment or response, or when they even give you in-person comment, any kind of negativity, maybe you're going a bit over. But if people say, oh, I didn't know you do it, so I'm so glad I got to know that. Or people reach out to you because of that, saying, I'm going to collaborate with you on this, or I want your advice on this, and you're probably on the right track.
Great stuff. So just one more I'm going to take here. This is from Jitin Handa, and he's saying there's a lot of buzz around working on one's passion, about finding out one's purpose, mission, true north, and then to be in the pursuit of fulfilling this. How does one go about really finding that sweet spot and ascertaining it is indeed the true calling? Exercises are plenty, providing intellectual validation. How does one get unwavering internal validation that this, whatever is this X factor, is the true calling?
It's actually a very deep question. I think it's a great question.
Yes.
It can be answered at various levels. And
yeah.
I don't think, I have really found, my answer, but here is what I would suggest. I think at some level, and I'm sort of, picking up from what I sort of think, has worked for me so far on the journey I am on. I would say at some level, we are all trying to find, what those answers for each of us are, right? And these are not answers that you can get in a textbook. These are not in an answer that any book can give you, but these are the answers that actually take a lot of time. These are the answers that potentially are going to take a lot of thinking, and a lot of reflection. So I think there are different starting points, because you can look at a question at an overall sort of life level. You can look at a professional level, but I guess my answer would be somewhere start the reflection. Maybe depending on what stage you are, starting professionally is easier. Reflect, like I said, reflect your past experience so far. What are the things that have given you more energy? What are the things that have depleted you? What are the things that you enjoy doing? What are the things people have given you credit for? What are the things that have driven growth in your career? And what out of those you see sort of pertinent in the future in front of you? I think that can be one lens. Second, I think the 360-degree surveys from companies give an opportunity, but in some sense I find them a little bit pre-gamed, because in a company environment, everybody has some sort of a purpose, right? And therefore, they will be reacting to you from that lens. So what I have tried doing is I actually engaged an independent survey. I put a little bit money on it and used that to understand what people think of me. So I sent to a very large number of people, including members of my family, including people I have studied with, including people I worked with in various jobs, including people I currently work with, my clients, my vendors, agencies, partners. I mean, of course, people who I know will take the time to give me that input. Right? I think those are the sort of things then start to give you some insight. Right? And then ask your friends, ask your spouse, ask your children, ask your ex-bosses, and then try to bring them together and say, what is it that really works for you? And then try to sort of, find the way forward. And then again, everybody varies, but I, try to read a lot of stuff. Some of those things stick. And I started, I think, many years ago reading 7 Habits, that impacted me a lot. And then Ikigai and many of similar texts. And then nowadays, there is a lot of great stuff available to listen to. I listen a lot to Gary Vaynerchuk. I listen a lot to, Sean Tuck, and I can send some of the names. I think it's a process. It's important we get into it. Answers come and they keep changing and they keep evolving. There is probably no one answer, but whatever level of answer we get is super helpful in getting clarity.
All right, super. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for a wonderful session, for your generous sharing. And I know that one of the reasons why you had an audience of almost 260 odd people completely enthralled, not already beginning to write comments and questions, is because I think your entire session was so engaging and so insightful and so addressing personal challenges and dilemmas for some of the people who perhaps on this webinar. So thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much. You're most welcome. I could see all the questions, so I'll request Sujay if it's possible for me to send a script of all the questions.
We'll do
I'll
that.
try to, answer as many as I can. And people, I am available on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can reach out to me, any questions and queries. I mean, again, I'm coming from a place where I've been through all of this journey. By no means I have gotten anywhere, which says like arrived, but I think I made some progress, which I'm happy to share, happy to answer your questions. I understand the challenges, trials, tribulations, and identify with them. So feel free to reach me. I'll be happy to be of help.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you, everybody, for staying on. And, you must log in again for our next webinar on Wednesday. This time we have a mental health expert, Kirti Soni, joining us from the UK. This is a not to miss session. It's in dialogical form, but it has lots of insights, ideas, stories, from adversity, from emotional health, everything to do with mental health, and lots of ideas on how to deal with mental health situations. Should you have people who are sick in the family, if you're a family member who's just onlooking, should any of us, God forbid, have this challenge ourselves during this very difficult times. So lots of insight, stories, inspiration and hacks on how you can maintain your own balance and your own mental health during this time. So do log into that, and I recommend strongly you have family members join you on that webinar. So this is on Wednesday at 4 o'clock, 4 to 5. And this time we brought in an international expert to be able to answer all your questions for you. For those of you who'd like to post questions in advance, feel free to send them across to Prudel or to Tehseen with your registrations. So that we're able to answer some of these questions on your behalf, ask questions on your behalf to the speaker. So with that, everyone, good luck.
So yeah, I have one more comment. I think so as a part of the startup I co-founded, Meenal, my co-founder, is also on the call.
We're very late, and we don't normally extend our webinars so much.
So just one comment. I think you can reach out to us as Lead Think. We can help you do many of these things.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Thank you very much. I think with that, thanks, Rajesh. Thanks, everyone. Just to let you know, if you want to be a paid member and access all our virtual training and the rest of that, please reach out to the two coordinators. We look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. And those of you who do have great practices and would like to participate in the diversity and inclusion, best diversity inclusion practices of Asia study, please reach out to us so that we can help others learn from your experiences. Thank you for logging in today and joining us on this webinar. We look forward to having you on board on Wednesday, 8th April from 4 to 5 p.m. All right, everyone, take care and good luck.
Thank you.
Be safe. Bye.